Good morning. As you can see, I am back in the lorry because today we are actually going to go and take Charlie jumping. So the original plan was to just take him somewhere local. Well, we're still going local, but even more local on Sunday. But I'm actually teaching a pole work clinic today, and it kind of made sense to take him there first. Well, I've already got the arena hired, and go and pop some fences there. It's the same place that he went last month for the first time, so I know that he kind of knows it, and I'm not going to spend too long settling him down. So yeah, that kind of made sense to do it that way round rather than spend 2 days out effectively. I haven't actually ridden him since Forest of Dean last week, because obviously I wanted to give him a few days off. Then we've just had really bad wind and rain, and it's just been miserable, and yeah, I'm not really one for riding when it's like that, especially out on the road. So yeah, he's had a bit of time off, but then I hadn't done a huge amount of him before I took him to Forest of Dean in the sense of that week for the same reason. It'd just been miserable and I hadn't got a chance to ride. I'd obviously been working on the days that it was dry, and the days that it was miserable, it was miserable. I'm on a fairly tight schedule this morning. It's quite early, well, early for me anyway. So I'm gonna go and feed them and sort them out, load them up, and hopefully I will see you when we get there. Just thought I'd quickly show you actually where, well, we nearly weren't going, because yesterday I very much got the lorry stuck in the field, as you can see. Made a little bit of a mess. Obviously, as I said, it's been raining quite a bit, and although our ground is okay, it's quite good. Obviously the lorry is heavier than my car, which I kind of forgot. So when I got to the boggy a bit, it was like, I can't quite do this. So managed to eventually get it onto, well, slide it over onto some drier ground and get it down. But I did think, and that's kind of the way I get my car in and out as well. Obviously not today, but I did think, I've locked my car in now as well because I was stuck in the gateway. So that was fun yesterday, but it actually looks like it's going to be quite a nice day today, which is typical because we're indoors, so it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, but that always seems to happen. But yeah, so just going to go get him and we shall go. So as I said, I was running on quite a tight schedule, so I didn't video any getting ready or getting on the box, anything like that. I went and got him fed, sorted out, and we left. And the same when we got there, got him off, tacked him up, and then we went. Although I know I wanted to jump him, I obviously wanted to start off with something that he knows, so I just popped some really simple poles out, and Mum finished off putting the blocks out while I walked him round, because as I said, tight time schedule. I've mentioned loads of times before about getting on, like I really like mine to stand still. It doesn't always go well when you're somewhere else and somewhere new and they're excited, but I think it is a really useful tool that they should know how to stand at a mountain block or a gate or a verge or anything that you might have to use to get on. You can see Charlie's pretty good at that. I just going to have a quick warm up. I'm quite aware of the fact that, as I said, we don't have much time, and I want to jump him, that's what I'm there for. So I kind of neglected my usual warm-up a little bit, and that kind of shows through his work a bit. He's a bit tight, I wouldn't say he's tense, but he's just not quite relaxed, and he's not really going as well as he can do. I haven't actually schooled him since the last time I brought him here, because we've just been hacking and getting the miles up and getting him fit. So in all fairness, he is doing okay actually. But yeah, I know there's loads of things that I want to work on. I'm watching the video back. I can see that I need to ride him a little bit more, in the sense of he can actually be quite lazy, so I need to keep my leg on a little bit and ask a tiny bit more of him to try and get a bit more out of him basically. But that wasn't the aim for today, so I'm not too worried. He still behaved himself and went quite sweetly, and we just used the poles for some warm-up to get him focusing and get him used to the blocks being on the side, because obviously they're going to turn into our jumps quite soon. So he was getting a little bit on the forehand, so I just started doing some walk transitions over the poles, but Mum stopped videoing after the first one. But we did a few of those, and actually he was quite good. The first one was sticky, he fell over the poles, and then he was really against my hand to walk, but afterwards he got much better with that. So you can see some really nice glimmers of nice work where he relaxes and he comes down and he settles a little bit in my hand, but it is inconsistent. It's going to be at this stage. I said I haven't really schooled him, and obviously having done Forestine the other week where he was kind of just allowed to go on a nice long rein at the kind of pace that he wanted to, it's quite a change then to come in here and go, actually you need to work a bit more up and together now, and you need to listen to me. And you can see there's moments like that where he braces slightly and he comes against the hand where he's a little bit tight, but as I said, I'm not so worried. We do get a nice lovely square halt though. And the same kind of goes for the canter work. So this was the first transition and it was absolutely horrendous. He just was like, what the hell's going on? So he kind of ran into it a little bit. He then decided that he was scared of the flowers, even though he wasn't earlier. So I just did a nice small circle to get him bending back to the left, because obviously we were going to canter in a minute and I need him to be soft round my left leg and to the inside, otherwise we're going to probably pick up the wrong canter lead. So we did a little bit of a leg yield on the circle and just get him back over into the outside rein a little bit, and then he was fine. So I'm not quite sure why he decided he didn't like that. I've been toying with a little bit of walked canter with him out and about. Obviously we're not there in the school, but just so it doesn't give him the chance to run. This is his more difficult rein and you can see he's tight and he's a little bit fighting with me. The canter's not quite got the rhythm, and that's what I mean there. And I kind of broke my own rule with the canter work. So what I would normally tell people to do is just 3 or 4 strides, work on the transition more than anything, and if they start to slow or break, then come back to trot, refresh and do another transition, so they're not kind of getting pushed further and further onto the forehand and getting flatter and flatter and the canter getting bigger and bigger and getting more against the hand. You kind of stop and start again, do another nice 4 or 5 strides rather than do a lap of mediocre canter. But for some reason, I don't know why, I think because I was thinking about the fact we needed to get the jumps up and kind of, I would keep an eye on the time. I just gave him a quick canter on each rein. We did a little bit more than maybe I should have done, and it got a bit flat and braced. But again, I'm not worried, that'll come. He's only just started doing canter work the last couple, maybe 3 weeks, and that's been out and about more than anything. Again, straight line on a loose rein at the pace he wants to go. So he got a little bit excitable after doing the canter work, so I came back and did a little bit with the trot poles and then incorporated the trot poles into the canter work. I didn't do much, I probably did 2 transitions each rein of canter, and that was all I wanted to do. I just wanted to loosen him up a little bit, and it did help the trot later on. As we all know, the canter will help improve the trot slightly, but only if it's a reasonable canter, which this wasn't brilliant. And again, he's just a little bit against the hand to stop because he started to get on the forehand and was kind of towing me. So we left the canter work there, came back, did a bit of trot work. I got him listening a little bit better, and then we had some nice little cross poles put out. So this is the first time that he's seen fences since 2017, I think it was, and I've never jumped him properly. As I said before, I've popped a couple of logs in the wood, but like little things. I mean, they were little jumps today anyway, but it's slightly different than then popping him over coloured fences. So we started really small. They stayed really small, to be honest, because I didn't know what he was going to be like, and I didn't want to knock his confidence or mine and make it too difficult when that's not the point yet. We come nice and trotted into this first fence, but we do a little circle because he decides to have a shake and a sneeze at the same time and trip, and there's no point kind of carrying on into that fence when he's just fallen over it. I don't think he was even really paying attention at the fact the poles had changed. And then we have a little bit of an overjump, but you know, he was fine. It didn't kind of throw him, and I've left all this bit in because I kind of expected that to have set the tone then of him be a little bit spooky. I think he looked at the shadow that was now underneath the pole from the lights, and I expected that was kind of going to be how he was going to jump everything now, which is fine, I don't have a problem with that. But it didn't quite go like that, and yeah, he kind of plodded over everything else like they were just trot poles, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'd like a little bit more enthusiasm. I'd only planned to kind of do trot jumping with him on this day anyway, because, as I said, first time jumping for ages, I just wanted to make it nice and easy. But he was so kind of blasé about them and almost lazy with them that they were just raised trot poles. That I did remove on 2 of them. I brought the kind of trot pole in, so it made it almost like a little bit of a spread. I left it on the first one just so I had one that was still easier effectively, and he actually started to pop them a little bit. I wouldn't really quite go as far to say he jumped that, but he was getting a little bit more enthusiastic now, and you can see he's a bit more forward and he's putting a bit more effort in. So just having that pole there in front made him kind of actually look at it and make a bit of a nicer shape over it. He's still falling over that first cross pole and not really putting any effort in. But yeah, you can see on the ones with the placing pole in front, he just pops them quite sweetly. So I did those a couple of times, obviously no problems. He's not tanking off of me or running away with me, even though he was getting a bit more excited. That was fine. So we left that first cross pole and just popped the other 2 up to, again, little straight, probably 1'6", maybe 2 foot at an absolute push. It wasn't about the height for him. I know I've seen him jump big fences on the lunge and free schooling. I know he can jump, but I haven't jumped properly for a long time as well. So it was just about getting him to find his feet, make sure he wasn't going to do anything stupid, which, say, you can see there, he just got a little bit over enthused and thought he was going to dictate where we were going and what speed we were going at, and he wasn't allowed. So we just did a little bit of trot work again in between, and then we came back round once he'd settled for the next one. I don't want him to learn that he can just tow and pull into a fence, because that kind of is where you start to get in trouble. So if we can set that boundary from the start, that we stay in a nice steady rhythm, then that would be great. So now we've got a little bit of side arena cam, because I wanted Mum to take some photos, so I just plonked it up on the side, but it was actually in the wrong place to start with. So, you know, a bit of handy pony going on as well, which, to be fair, he's really good with that sort of stuff. He doesn't care. Had a little walk round again. He was quite hot and sweaty at this point, so had a little bit of a breather while we sorted out photos. And then we just went again. I've only got a kind of a little course set up, but not really, and just wanted to try and get it flowing a little bit better. I still had intended to stay just trotting him into these fences, but he was quite happy to have a little canter over some of them, like there. He picked up canter in the corner and not take off with me. So I was quite happy. He was finding his feet a little bit better now. Obviously still falling over the cross pole, but you can see into there, like, he was asking to go, and I could see that he knew where his feet were, so I let him have a little bit of leeway. And actually you can see the canter's almost better now, because I'm letting him go forward a bit more and not kind of asking for a super collected canter, which actually he just can't do yet. I need to remember that he's bigger than Dusty and Gabby, so his striding is bigger. Just wanted to pop the red and white one, or the burgundy and white, once more, because he kind of got a little bit close to it, but actually I think he still got close to it on this one. But they're so small, it really doesn't matter. Just about him finding his feet, getting his confidence up, and yeah, he was so good. He didn't say no to anything. He could have quite easily, that first fence that obviously the shadow spooked him, he could have quite easily stopped and gone, actually I don't want to do this. Even when he knocked a fence down, that then didn't frighten him, because that can, you know, some horses can get quite spooked when a pole drops and hits the floor. Yeah, I was really pleased with him actually, and although it was a short session, it ticked all the boxes that I wanted it to tick. We popped over some nice simple fences. He didn't look at anything, he didn't run away with me, he didn't do anything stupid, and I think that's all you can ask for at this stage realistically, is that they behave themselves. And now I know in the future, when we go and do this again, hopefully in the not too distant future, I can put them up a little bit, I can do a little bit more cantering into the fences and kind of just let him play a little bit without worrying that he's going to put a nasty stop in, that he's going to do anything really silly. When the ground finally dries up, because it has just been pouring for the last 2 weeks pretty much, hopefully at the end of April, or the second to last week in April I think, we can head off to our first little Aventers challenge on grass. But there's still a few things I want to get done first. If you did enjoy the video, you can like the video and comment, and obviously you can subscribe. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be notified then when the next video goes up, which hopefully I might be taking him to cross country in the next few weeks, so you've got that to look forward to.